I'm Staffan Sundström. I have been in an authorized accounting firm for 33 years, and at this moment I'm acting as senior advisor in this accounting firm. It's in Pargas, in Finnish, Parainen. And okay, these pictures are all in English. So at first I want to tell about these two most important kinds of entrepreneurship. There are many kinds of companies in Finland, but these two are the most important for you. You can be a private entrepreneur, suomeksi toiminimi, and it's easy to register for a private entrepreneur, but you must remember that you have all risk for everything you make in your business. You have risk with your all personal property. So if you must pay compensation for damage, or if you have tax debt or anything in your business, so everything you own is you are responsible with all your property for this business. But when you make profit in your business, it's easy to use it. You only take out money from the bank account. It calls in Finnish yksityisotto. You don't have to pay a salary to yourself. And when you are a private entrepreneur, you own this business yourself. You cannot have other owners. You can have your husband or wife can work with you, but and in the tax it's possible to share the income between the husband and the wife, but you own it yourself. The other kind of entrepreneurship, if you are alone, is limited company. You can own a limited company yourself, or you can have other shareholders with you. The most important thing with a limited company is that you have no private risk. So if you have some debts or must pay some compensation, or you have taxes unpaid or anything, if you have made everything legal, then you have no private risk. The company will have the only risk for your business, and if the company cannot pay, then it go bankrupt. But your personal property is safe. In a limited company, it's not allowed to use the money for private use. The only way to take out money from the company is that the company pays salary for you, or after the end of the financial year, when the financial statements are ready, then the shareholders will have a meeting, and then it's possible to pay a dividend from the profit. But it's very important to always remember that you cannot use the money in a limited company for your private use. Well, what's important when you start a business in Finland? I think the most important thing, if you are not an expert, is to make a contract with an authorized accounting firm. The problem for if you come from another country and start a business in Finland, there are two problems. You don't know the legislation in Finland, and often you don't you are not familiar with the language in Finland. So it may be difficult to make everything right. And if you have a contract with an accounting firm, then you have not the or let me say that if you don't have a contract with an accounting firm, then if you make any mistake, then it's your own fault and you will pay for it yourself. But if you have a contract with an authorized accounting firm and the accounting firm makes any mistake, then they will then the responsibility for the mistake is in the accounting firm. Then it's important to have a separate bank account. You cannot use the same bank account that you use for private use. Then when you start the business, you must make the registrations. The accounting firm can also make the registrations for you. You should be registered in the trade register. And then the tax registration. It's possible to make everything on the same time. There are three kinds of registrations in the tax register: the prepayment tax register, the VAT, the arvonlisävero, the VAT register, and the employer's register if you have employees. Then an entrepreneur must have a pension insurance. Yrittäjäeläke, YEL, is the pension insurance for entrepreneurs. And if you have other employees than yourself, for the employees you must have a dual pension insurance. For the employees, you should also have accident insurance, group life insurance, unemployment insurance. They are statutated, so you must have them, but you don't have it. The entrepreneur yourself, you don't have to take this for yourself, only for your employees. But you can have a voluntary entrepreneur's accident insurance. And then it's also possible for an entrepreneur to have an unemployment insurance. You can be a member of the yrittäjäkassa. And of course, it's important to be a member in the Association of Finnish Entrepreneurs, Suomen Yrittäjät, because you can call experts and you can get free advice from them. Arvonlisävero, VAT, value added tax. You don't have to be registered if your turnover is not more than 15,000 euro per year. But it may be useful to be registered even if you have a smaller turnover, if your customers are other than private persons. Because when you have a little turnover, in the end of the year, the tax authorities will pay the VAT back to you, and it is not any additional cost for your customer if you add the VAT on your invoices, because when your customers are companies, they can deduct the VAT. Yes, if the sales, the turnover is not more than 15,000 euro, the tax authorities will pay everything back after the end of the year. If it is between 15,000 and 30,000 euro, you will get a part of it back. The accounting firm you use will take care of that to apply to get it back. Then you can choose how often you pay the VAT. The normal is once a month, every month. After the end of the month, 1 month and 12 days is the deadline. When you must make the tax return and you must pay the tax. If you have small business, if you have less than 30,000 per year, you can pay the VAT only once a year, and if you have less than 100,000, it's possible to pay it 4 times a year. But I recommend that you should make the tax returns every month, because if you wait many months, it may be a huge sum to pay. And if you pay salaries, if you have a limited company and pay salaries to yourself, or if you have other employees, then you must make a report to the income register. The deadline is 5 days after the payment day. So, and if you take salary more than once a month, you have every time to make the report to the income register. And then after the end of the month, you must also do a separate report for everything you have paid during the month. This is normally a thing that the accounting firm will do for you. If you have an accounting firm which take care of the salaries, they will also report this. Okay. Here is the tuloslaskelma, profit and loss report. You must know that all official reports from the accounting must, according to the legislation, they must be either in Finnish language or in Swedish language. But it's of course possible that the accounting can be made in English or in any other language. But then when you make the official reports and the annual statements, then they must be in Finnish language or in Swedish language. So here you have, if you get from your accounting reports with these Finnish words, here are the explanations what they are in English, and you will get these pictures from Nina. She will send them to you. Here are I put only some of the most important headlines in the profit and loss account. So, for example, if we start with the if we start with the sales, the net turnover, you must remember that every figure in the profit and loss account is without VAT. because the VAT, the value-added added tax is not the income for you. And if you pay purchases and there is VAT, they are not a cost for you. It's only when you invoice and add VAT to the invoice, it's not your money. It's only that you have a debt to the tax authorities. And also when you pay something, you have purchased some purchases, the VAT in the invoice, that's a debt from the tax authorities to you. So every number in the tuloslaskelma are without VAT. And when you want to know the sales margin, it's of course your sales, the turnover without VAT, and from that you deduct the purchases without VAT, and then your inventory, if you have more things in bigger value in the inventory than in the last year, then your profit is bigger. If you have less in the inventory, of course the profit will be lower. But normally the variation in stocks, the inventory will be made in the end of the financial period if you don't want to make it every month. Okay. Yeah, then we have the point 6 staff expenses. What are the staff expenses? Of course, the salaries of the employees. If it's limited companies, there is also your own salary. If you're a private entrepreneur, there will not be any salary for yourself. And you must remember that the cost for an employee is also it's not only the monthly salary, because you also have to pay for the vacation and sickness, for example. Then in the staff expenses, there are also the pension insurances, the health insurance contribution, what you have to pay every month to the tax authorities, and the statutory insurances, which I mentioned before, if you have any voluntary insurances, and then also the occupation health care cost. If you have employees, you must have statutory to have a contract with some healthcare provider, and they are deductible. The costs are of course deductible, but Kela will also pay you something back for the healthcare costs. And remember that when you are an entrepreneur, you have the same right to use this contract with a healthcare provider, and the Kela will pay a part of it back to you. Mm-hmm. Okay, then we should look at the point 7, poistot ja arvon alentumiset, depreciation, amortization and reduction in value. when you buy machines, hardware, furniture, anything with long lifetime, you cannot deduct it in, the total, everything about it in the first year. You can only deduct 25% every year. And if you have buildings, it's 4% or 7% that you can every year deduct. If you have only small purchases, maximum 1,200 euro, or the total sum 3,600 euro per year, it's possible to deduct them as a cost at the same year. But if they are bigger, you must make this poistot, eli depreciations. Then, of course, every other operating expenses which belong to your business, it's possible to deduct in the profit and loss account. And then you will get, then you come to the headline, profit and loss before appropriations and taxes. After that, there will, in the profit and loss account, there will be the taxes you have to pay. If it's a limited company, the company must pay 20% of this profit and loss before appropriation and taxes. But of course, if you have the limited company and the company have paid tax for you, then you of course you pay your own taxes yourself, and these are progressive taxes. When you're a private entrepreneur, you will pay tax on this profit, and it's progressive. I don't now explain how it will be shared between pääomatulo and ansiotulo. It's too complicated to now explain. We have no time for that. But it's a progressive tax, and it's now, for a private entrepreneur, it's you will not pay tax for what money you have taken out from your firm. It's only this sum, profit loss before appropriations and taxes. It's on that sum which you will pay tax. Limited company, osakeyhtiö, can pay dividend after the end of the year when the financial statements are accepted in the meeting of the shareholders. And if you take only a little dividend, what is 8% of the net property, then the tax will be 7.5, or if the dividend is more than 30,000, it will be 8%. If you take more dividend than this 8% of the net property, then 75% of that will be progressive taxable, and 25% is not taxable. But these are things that your accounting firm will help you with. to give advice how we should do. Okay. Then we go to the tase, the assets, the balance sheet. And here you see the Finnish headlines and the same in English. These are the assets, and the other side are assets vastaava, and the other side is vastattava. It's the capital, reserves, and liabilities. And if you again take the most important headlines are here. Aineelliset hyödykkeet, tangible assets are the, for example, machinery, equipment, furniture, cars. And here is an example of the an example of the depreciations. If you buy, for example, a machine for 10,000 euro, then the first year you can make 25% depreciation, and then the value in the end of the period is 7,500. And then next year you can again make 25% of the rest. Vaihto-omaisuus, stocks, varasto. What the things you have bought, what you are going to sell, but they are still in. You have not sold them; they are still in the varasto. Then you must make you must invent them in the end of the financial period, and you must also use the acquisition cost without VAT. And if you have bought things during the year with the prices have been different when you have bought for several times things, and the prices are not also the same, then you should use the first in, first out so that you think that you have sold first the things you have first bought, and the price will be the price that you have bought last. First in, first out. Then in the balance sheet they are siirtosaamiset ja siirtovelat, prepayments and accrued income, actuals and deferred income. It means that when you have incomes and costs, they should also be accrued to the ongoing financial period. If you are paying something in forward, for example, an insurance or something else, rents or anything, or if you have something unpaid where there has not came any invoice yet, but you must make the financial statements, then they should be accrued to the financial period. You must share the costs so at the and the incomes. Yeah. Vastattava puolella, eli on the vastattavaa, there are capital and reserves. There's the equity, which is the own equity, what is, for example, in a limited company, if you had paid any own equity when you have started the business, or then also the profits will increase the equity. And what you must remember that in a limited company, it's not legal to have a negative equity. So, for example, if you buy more things that you then the sum of the purchases are bigger than your sales, and you, for example, take a loan to pay the purchases, then you may get a negative equity, and that is not legal in a osakeyhtiö, in a limited company. So if you observe that the equity will be negative, then the shareholder should pay more money to the company. You could pay to the reserve for invested non-restricted equity, in Finnish sijoitetun vapaan pääoman rahasto, or shorter swap rahasto, or then you can give a subordinated loan to your company. And then your accounting firm will help you to make these documents right if you paid more money to the company. But if you don't make anything in a limited company, the equity is still negative, it must be reported to the trade register. And that is, of course, not good for a company, because it would have effect in the credit worthiness. It's possible that you cannot get any credit after that. So you should avoid this, that the equity is negative. That was a limited company. For a private entrepreneur, the equity is the retained earnings, and to that you add the profit for the financial year, and then you add if you had put some private placement in your firm, and from that you deduct the private drawings you had taken out from your firm, and then you get the total equity. My advice is that you should choose an accounting firm with good quality. And it's written that it's important that you make a written agreement, because when you have a written agreement and the accounting firm has a insurance, a liability insurance, then if the accounting firm make any mistake, then the insurance will pay for the mistakes. So it is safe. If you have an authorized accounting firms, it's an accounting firm cannot be authorized if they don't have a liability insurance. So then you know that it's safe for you. And authorized accounting firms are also inspected every year of the Association of Finnish Accounting Firms to guarantee the good quality. And one advice is that don't hide any information for the accountant. You must tell everything what you plan to do in your business, and you must tell everything. So because the accountant cannot give you advices if you haven't given the complete information of everything. The accountant, of course, cannot tell anything about what he hears. He cannot forward the information to anybody, not to the tax authorities or to anybody. It is safe to give every information to the accountant.